Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. A delay in Jordan's principal funding means some projects are on pause, including the Council of Yukon First Nations short-term housing program. Jackie Hong tells us how this is affecting Yukon families.
Good now.
It's moving day soon for Terry Lynn Schinkel, but it's not her choice.
You know, I was anticipating that they'd be like, we can't pay your rent no more, which I know, like, I cannot afford the rent for this place.
Schinkel and her sons live in a short-term rental arranged by the Council of Yukon First Nations. The program is funded through Jordan's principal. CYFN normally gets confirmation in January about its funding for the coming fiscal year, but this year, CYFN has heard nothing from Ottawa. That means the council doesn't have money for its Jordan's principal-funded programs after March 31st. Families like Schinkel's got letters a few weeks ago saying their rent wasn't guaranteed come April 1st.
But it was really, it still is, it's upsetting. You know, change is always hard, and we're having to, you know, move most of our stuff here back in storage.
Housing isn't the only CYFN program affected. The council has also had to cut grocery and clothing allowances for families that are also funded through Jordan's principal.
Having to send letters to our families that we work with that we're no longer able to support them in certain areas has been extremely frustrating, and you know, is just another one of the systemic issues that First Nations and Yukon First Nations families and children have to face.
Chambers says CYFN is helping families find other places to live. Options include the council's new Family Preservation Wellness Centre. But Schinkel says she doesn't know what's next yet for her. Complicating things is the fact that she has a dog. Schinkel says he's her son's emotional support pet and part of the family, but many rentals don't allow animals. Schinkel says she's trying to stay positive. She knows other families have it worse.
But at the same time, it's definitely mentally, emotionally, and spiritually draining. It's like I feel so exhausted.
She wants to find a new home for her entire family, but as a single mom with limited income and a tight housing market, she's had no luck yet. Jackie Hong, CBC News, Whitehorse.
Tagish, Yukon is still without a gathering space after its community centre burnt to the ground 2 weeks ago. Tagish is home to about 300 people, and many have said the community centre was its heart. It hosted regular dinners, coffee, and chats for seniors, as well as arts and crafts nights. It also housed a library, free store, and community garden. The center's recreation director says they need to clear away the debris left over from the fire before reconstruction can begin.
And so the loss of that I think, would really affect a number of us. And I'm already missing a number of the people that I used to see out at the community center. We certainly miss that, and now we look forward to when can we replace this and put something else back in.
The Tagish Community Association has organized a GoFundMe campaign to build a new centre. The goal is set at $200,000. The Yukon government has said it is committed to helping the community rebuild. Police are ruling a death on the grounds of Pavurnatuk's snow festival as accidental. Nunavik police say they found an unresponsive man in his early 40s early Wednesday morning. The man had visible injuries. The investigation was transferred to Quebec's Provincial Police Service. After an autopsy, the Sûreté du Québec says it's likely the man died from a fall. Liberal leader Mark Carney spent part of day 6 of the election race not on the campaign trail, but instead working in his other role as Canada's Prime Minister. Carney had a phone call with Donald Trump about the ongoing trade war. As Ashley Burke reports, there was a noticeable and positive change in tone from the U.S. president.
Liberal leader Mark Carney described his call with Donald Trump, saying it was constructive and substantive, and said that they agreed to negotiate a new economic and security relationship right after the election. Carney's campaigning for a majority government, saying that he wants to lead those talks, but also said in the call that he didn't get any indication from Trump that he was backing down on his tariffs.
The president did not indicate a pulling back on the tariffs on autos or steel or aluminum during the call. My response included that, look, this is the start of a process. Part of what's important, it underscores the importance of more intensive discussions between the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of International Trade, and their.
Carney told Trump that Canada will retaliate after he makes his next move in this tariff war on April 2nd. Carney said that Trump did respect Canada's sovereignty, both in his public and his private comments today. We saw a change in tone from Trump. He described the conversation as a very good call.
Mark called me today at 10 o'clock. We put out a statement. We had a very, very good talk. We have Liberation Day, as you know, on April 2nd. Because, and I'm not referring to Canada, but many countries have taken advantage of us, the likes of which nobody even thought was possible for many, many decades, for decades. And, you know, that has to stop. We're going to end up with a very good relationship with Canada and a lot of the other countries.
When I asked Carney if he trusted that, he said that there's always a strategy and a negotiation. Now, on the campaign trail, Carney also announced a $5 billion fund to help diversify trade and work with ports like this one to cooperate with each other rather than compete. Carney is now on his way back to Ottawa. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Montreal.
Organizations across the North are calling on the Prime Minister to reinstate the Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Youth. In his cabinet shuffle, Prime Minister Mark Carney eliminated dedicated ministers for official languages, diversity and inclusion, persons with disabilities, and seniors. Advocates for women and gender equality fear they've lost their direct line to Ottawa. Avery Zingle tells us.
YWCA, NWT, Yukon Women's Transition Home Society, and YWC Ugvik Nunavut joined nearly 400 signatories to a letter demanding Prime Minister Mark Carney reinstate the Minister for Women and Gender Equality. The responsibilities for wage are now under the portfolio of Stephen Guilbeault. He is the Minister for Canadian Culture, Identity, Parks Canada, and Quebec Lieutenant. Earlier this month, Yukon women's organizations were at a UN forum on the status of women with the former Wage Minister Marcy Ian. That's when the cabinet shuffle news came down. Ray Lamache, the executive director for Yukon Status of Women Council, says it sent shockwaves through the gender equality sector.
This is not a symbolic loss. This is not simply a reshuffling of ministerial responsibilities. There was really important work in relationship building and advocacy being done at this level, and it does feel very disheartening.
Lamache says the wage minister brought funding for family violence court resources and peer support programs for sex workers. Ian supported education for men and boys to prevent violence against women.
We don't think that projects like this will be as fundable without somebody advocating for them at the table.
YWCA Nunavut Ugvik Executive Director Sherry Robertson says a dedicated minister is needed because femicide is on the rise. And she says economic downturn increases danger for women. YWCA NWT Executive Director Hawa Dumbuya Sise says survivors face many barriers to getting adequate support.
It's not something that we can just put aside because there are other issues at play. The message it's sending to us is that the federal government does not prioritize the issues and health and well-being of women and families.
The YWCA NWT sought MP Michael McLeod's help to bring back the minister. McLeod's spokesperson says he brought their request to the Prime Minister's office. Avery Zingle, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Paukhtutit's outgoing leader is leaving the position with pride. Rosemary Cooper is retiring today after 9 years at the helm of the National Inuit Women's Organization. Over that time, she says Pauktutit has veered more into the policy space, and she hopes it can continue leading institutional change.
I think there's really good role models today of Inuit women, girls. We're seeing a lot more education pursuit. We just recently celebrated King Charles Award recipients at Pauktutit. We have heart surgeons and so many other professionals out there.
Taking over from Cooper is Nikki Komaksiutiksak. She says she and her sister were abused as children and had nowhere to go for help. So she says she's been fighting all her life for her rights and those of all Inuit.
I wish that there was even an organization, an Inuit organization, an Inuit community that I was able to fall back on. I didn't. And so it was really important for me to create those safe spaces, to create those resources for Inuit, because I really did not want anyone to feel the effects of the things that were denied to me growing up.
Her vision for Pauktutit in 10 years' time is for it to be 100% Inuit run. Norovirus cases in Nunavut are on the rise, according to the territory's Department of Health. The virus is highly contagious, and the most severe cases are in elders and children. It's spread mainly through contact with infected vomit or stool, though it can also be passed on through food, water, or ice if it's touched by a sick person. The Nunavut Department of Health urges people to stay home and avoid contact with others if they're mildly ill. Symptoms include vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pains, and nausea. Washing your hands and cleaning surfaces are key to preventing norovirus. Canadian scientists are watching migratory birds closely. Bird flu has been spreading wildly in the U.S., including among wild flocks. And as Jennifer Yoon reports, there are fears they'll be carrying the virus north.
Canadian scientists are monitoring the movement of wild birds very closely. As birds start migrating north, the fear is that they'll be bringing bird flu with them, pooping near farms or mingling with other animals and spreading the virus.
They can hitchhike with any migratory birds and come from south of the border and cause infections in Canada.
Bird flu, specifically H5N1, has been spreading quite a bit in the United States. It's hit poultry farms very hard and driven up the cost of eggs. It's also affected cattle, cows. It's infected about 1,000 dairy herds and prompted California to declare a state of emergency. People have been getting sick as well, mostly people who were exposed at dairy or poultry farms. A senior in Louisiana died after being infected, and in Canada, a teenager in British Columbia was hospitalized for months. They've since recovered, but we still don't know where that teenager got infected.
It was found really quickly because of the awareness and the testing protocols that we had in place here in British Columbia.
Also concerning whether the U.S. will continue cooperating with Canada and other countries when it comes to bird flu. The U.S. has said that it's pulling out of the World Health Organization, and there have been communication blackouts as well as job and funding cuts at key agencies like the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control. And there was also accidental firings. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency accidentally fired federal employees working on bird flu response. Now they're scrambling to hire them back.
The ability to track and monitor these things and understand them really depends on that goodwill to be open and proactively engage in the international arena.
Cooperation is so crucial between Canada and the U.S. because we work closely together to monitor the birds that fly between our two countries. So far, American officials have been responding to Canada's calls when it comes to bird flu, but there remain concerns that that might change. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
The claims period for 2 classes in the First Nations Child and Family Services and Jordan's Principal Settlement is now open.
First Nations children who were removed from their homes on reserve between April 1st, 1991 and March 31st, 2022, and their caregiving parents and caregiving grandparents can now submit a claim for compensation.
There are free supports to help you fill out your form.
And mental health and wellness supports if you need them.
Learn more and submit your claim at fnchildclaims.ca.
Forced and coerced sterilization of Indigenous people is still happening. The Survivors Circle for Reproductive Justice has supports available for Indigenous survivors. Join the National Registry and access up to $70,000 in healing support funds for individuals, families, and communities. The deadline to apply is March 31st. If you or someone you know has experienced forced and coerced sterilization, please call 1-877-386-0750 or visit reproductivejusticesurvivors.ca for more information.
If alcohol builds a wall around you, know this. We're here to help if you want us to. It's never too early or too late to ask for help with a drinking problem. Alcoholics Anonymous. There is a way out.
I was fighting losing battles with opponents disguised as friends, and coming home to a different fight that never ends. I saw no other choice. I had to leave a roof for the rain. But sometimes I wonder if there was a path with more to gain. Maybe the opportunities would have been better, and every day would take me further towards something greater.
To help create new paths for youth experiencing homelessness, the Home Depot Canada Foundation is committing $125 million by 2030.
You are finally here.
Come on! Just talk to me.
Woo!
All you have to do is look.
Nothing can stand in your way. Are you still nervous?
No, not anymore.
A Northwest Territories community in much need of an extension to its overcrowded school may have to wait until next season to get it. Colville Lake was expecting school portables on this year's winter road, but the community learned last week that the units were not going to make it. The assistant band manager of the Bidsi-Ada First Nation says the community is working to build a new school, but in the meantime, they need something to help with overcrowding.
Times are we complaining about the size and the crampness of our existing classroom right now? These kids are tired of being in that same big classroom with one another. It's just too much students and not enough space.
Codsey says they have most of the equipment ready for the new school, but are still working on the location design. A group of students from the Kitikmeot region are getting a first-hand look at what the next few years could look like for them. It's part of a tour of post-secondary schools in Alberta. The CBC's Emma Tranter has more.
Kai Admuk is just 16, but he's already planning his future. The Kugluktuk student was one of 22 Kitikmeot students who toured college and university campuses in Edmonton and Calgary this week.
It has been phenomenal. I have learned so much in this week. I've learned that I'm more of a hands-on worker.
He says now he wants to work in trades or culinary arts. 4 kids from each Kitikmeot community joined the tour through a program with Northern Youth Abroad and the Kitikmeot Inuit Association. Adrian Nokon is the association's post-secondary education coordinator.
It gives them an example of, okay, I think I can live here. I think I can go to this school.
It's also meant to expose students to campuses in nearby cities that maybe they've never been to before, and what they could expect if they chose to go that route. For Landon Ignavagak Mala from Cambridge Bay, it was definitely worth it.
This trip has shown me how diverse that each of these schools can be, how much support you can receive from them. And on this trip, like visiting all these Indigenous centers, I feel less scared to come.
The trip takes place twice a year, and it wraps up in Calgary today before students fly home. Emma Tranter, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Hockey in Rankin Inlet is now done for the season, so everyone's attention is turning to the Spring Festival. Recreation Coordinator AJ Curley says it is time to organize Rankin Inlet Spring Festival Pakalak time. Curley says this year is extra special.
And this is how I kind of see as being the biggest thing that I've kind of prepared myself for. I'm still figuring it out, the small details, and trying to figure out what needs to be done or what could be done or what the community would love to see. I mean, the only reason why it's a big thing in my eyes is because it's going to be the 50th anniversary for the hamlet of Rankin Inlet.
Visitors come to the event from surrounding communities for feasts, games, bingo, and square dances. Pakalak time is tentatively set to take place from April 21st to 26th. The movie In Alaska has just finished filming in Iqaluit. The film tells the story of an Inuk boy who flees the FBI after shooting a hole in a pipeline in Alaska. He returns to Nunavut and reconnects with his Inuit roots through his family. The film is a co-production between the Netherlands and Canada.
It's been a long and wonderful journey to sort of dive into the subtlety of what we want in the movie and not sort of glorify or romanticize many aspects of Inuit culture in the film. And it's been widely accepted by many of the crew that we were working with these last week and a half.
Garatuk says there were beautiful sunny days filming out on the sea ice in Iqaluit. He says he wanted it to have a small town community feel. The film is slated to premiere internationally in the spring of 2026 or later. This year's Juno Awards will be handed out this weekend in Vancouver. The Junos honor Canadian singers, songwriters, and musical performers. And 2 Enoch performers have been nominated. That was Alyssa P's Kuviasukuvit off her Juno-nominated album, Inuktitut. It's up for 2 Juno Awards this weekend, Album of the Year and Adult Alternative Album of the Year. Alyssa P's 4th studio album is a collection of classic pop and rock songs translated into Inuktitut. The Nunavik-raised singer-songwriter won Contemporary Indigenous Artist of the Year at the 2024 Junos. And another Enoch artist is also up for an award. Nunatsiavut Diantha Edmonds is nominated for Classical Composition of the Year for her original song cycle, Ang Malukisa, off of A Likeness. The soprano is an Order of Canada recipient, and her work with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra was nominated for a Juno in 2022. There's also a new category this year, reflecting our country's changing soundscape. Eli Glassner has those details.
At the Junos this year, the impact of the South Asian music scene is undeniable. Multiple categories, artists such as Suka, AP Dillon, Karan Aujla competing for major awards.
If someone was to tell me back then that this would be my life, the little version of me would never believe it.
Jonita Gandhi says she was bullied for her background growing up. Now millions follow her, and she'll be sharing the stage with Michael Bublé.
Oh my God, I am so excited.
She says streaming platforms helped her find fans while embracing her culture.
But that dream is kind of coming true now, and I'm able to kind of attract both Indian audiences and global audiences.
One of the epicenters of the South Asian sound is Surrey, BC.
We used to look towards UK because the Punjabi music industry was really heavy in UK. Now I feel like that whole hub is in Canada.
Surrey is known for its Punjabi music scene where Indian and hip-hop flavors simmer and stew. A flavor that's catching on.
Punjabi music has always been such a vibe. Even Bollywood, now they started using a lot of Punjabi music to push their movies a lot.
As recognition, the Junos created a new South Asian music category, a place for nominees like this producer who fuses traditional Tamil music with hip-hop, a sound shaped in Canada.
I can walk down the street and, there's a Tamil grocery store or, a Tamil Hindu temple. But outside of that, I was also exposed to other genres of music.
While the new award is welcome, many hope it's the beginning of something bigger.
I think I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that this isn't just a trend and that this results in kind of some long-term investment in Punjabi artists, in their art, in their craft.
She says with billions of streams and some of the most popular Punjabi rappers in the industry, this music scene is just getting started. Eli Glassner, CBC News, Vancouver.
And you can watch the Junos this Sunday starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Yukon time. They'll also stream on CBC Gem. Now let's take a look at your weather. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. We leave you tonight with a video of throat singing in an igloo in Rankin Inlet. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a great weekend.
What kind of Canada do we want for our kids and our grandkids? I want a Canada that works for you. But Mark Carney spent his career hurting workers to make money for the powerful. He made life harder for families and easier for big corporations. And Pierre Poilievre, he wants us to be the US in everything but name. I want a Canada that works for you, where we fix our public health care, get your costs down. Let's protect our kind of Canada. That's worth fighting for.
I was fighting losing battles with opponents disguised as friends, and coming home to a different fight that never ends. I saw no other choice. I had to leave a roof for the rain. But sometimes I wonder if there was a path with more to gain. Maybe the opportunities would have been better, and every day would take me further towards something greater.
To help create new paths for youth experiencing homelessness, the Home Depot Canada Foundation is committing $125 million by 2030.
General Brock is dead. Americans hold the heights.
We are
but 100 men. They are thousands.
Sawadis. Our future was determined by our oath, not the Americans. This land does not belong to them. Comrades and brothers, remember the fame of ancient warriors. Let not their numbers frighten you. I know in my heart, before the sun falls behind these hills, our enemy will have fallen before you.
Well, what can we hold them?
At the Battle of Queenston Heights, 80 Grand River warriors, including John Norton and John Brand, held off the Americans for hours to help take back the heights.
One good scheme deserves another. Stay on him.
I feel we may be in for a challenging few days.
Cheers. Cheers.
$12 new records for a penny.
Sounds too good to be true.
It's not a scam. Cancel anytime. It's all in the fine print.
You're gonna end up on the hook for a lot more.
You think I'm stupid? I used you.
And he can lift anything. Anything at all. He's that strong.
Joe Schuster, will you stop it or you'll miss your train? Now help me find number 5.
Strong, but by day he's a mild-mannered reporter. Glasses, you know, a secret identity.
Honestly, you Canadian kids.
He'd be in this cape.
A what?
A cape. Wearing these blue tights.
A hero in tights, really. Here it is.
Listen, Lois, this guy is faster than anything, I swear.
If you're not fast, you're gonna miss your train.
That's it. A bullet. A bullet. He's faster. No, he's faster than a speeding bullet.
Come on, get on it. No one's gonna read a comic strip about a strong man in tights, Joe. It'll never fly.
Fly, no. But he can leap over tall buildings. Oh, wow, yeah.
See what your cousin Frank says in Toronto.
Wait, Lois. I've got something for you. Here, take it. It's a gift. You never know. It might be worth something someday.